three things that you need to make a real community is that common artifact, having rules, and then rituals.
Community building. Sorry. Today we're talking about building an online community. I had the honor of connecting with entrepreneur Lucas Bean, who's also the author of Community Market Fit. Yeah, you heard that right. Today we're talking about what folks get wrong about building an online community, what we can learn from the ancients, the ancient folks. If you're on the struggle bus with building online community, I need you to lean in for this one. This is Lucas Bean. Lucas Bean. Let's imagine you are sitting on an airplane and somebody casually looks over to you and says, "What do you do for a living?" How do you choose to respond to that?
You know, that's a good question. Usually I would say I'm in influence marketing.
Ooh.
Right? Because it's just easier for people than to have to explain to them like, hey, I own this company, I own this company, and I do this, right? If you say you're a creator, I think that's a little tougher to explain to people. People are like, oh, so you're unemployed.
No,
Or
when you think influencer marketing, they think you're working with
influencers, yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yes. I work, the company I actually run it's basically an ad network that connects influencers and brands. Mm-hmm. And the way I think influencers have a really hard time monetizing their reach. And mm-hmm. I think, again, I ran ad networks back in the day. So like 2008, 2009, I've been in ad tech for a very long time. So for me, what happened was, when you see ads on like a website or in like someone's email address, when you go to check your web mail and you see like ads there, that's changed. There's no more ads on websites. And if there are, they're like totally all over the place and people just ignore them now. And they're like a fly buzzing around you. But now like influencers are the new websites, right? They have all the reach. They have all the audience, right? So an ad network that works with influencers it's super easy to like transition from like ad tech that works with like major websites where all the traffic used to go to then now work with influencers who are the major websites, right? They just are on somebody else's platform.
Right. So we're here today to talk we're going to get nerdy on digital communities and maybe even bleed into in-person communities because I know you have a lot of experience with that. But before we get into those weeds, I want to like lay context so folks know kind of the history that you bring to the table and your unique perspective. First of all, you just started this conversation talking about influencer marketing, and that's where you planted your hat as of late. I've read a lot of articles where it's talked about kind of the death of the influencer and more into the emphasis of the creator and the difference between the two. Jenny Hoyos talks a lot about the difference between influencing and creators and so forth. And I'm curious your take on that because a lot of folks listening to this show probably, here we go slurring y'all,
I didn't hear it. You're good.
I know people listen. I'm trying to learn how to talk with this stuff in my mouth. I'm curious your take on that because I know if it were me listening to this podcast and you start talking about influencer marketing, I would be out because I'm like, I'm not an influencer. I don't like influencers. I'm not an influencer. I'm a creator. And I have a lot of bias towards that word. And I'm sure you run across that. So I just threw up all over you. What do you think?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's good. I can collate it. So the thing is influencer and creator are basically the same thing to me. We just talk about it in different ways. So creators influence people. They have an audience, right? So at the end of the day, you might not like the term, but it was coined a lot longer ago than a creator was, right? Someone who was on like YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff, we talked about it as influence marketing back in even 2008. And we were like, oh yeah, influencers. But it's because we didn't know how to classify them, right? Before it was like, hey, we're working with websites to drive ad views, right? And to sell advertising across all these websites. We could easily classify that as a website. There's no like multiple thing. In this case, like some people were creators. Some people were literally just influencers. Like the first influencer that I remember at least was Tila Tequila. Do you remember that girl on MySpace? It's crazy, right? But I think she's classified as the first real influencer. Well, she didn't really do anything, right? She was just like entertaining you, but like it was kind of like brain rot, as they say today, brain rot entertainment, right? It wasn't valuable. Creators create something valuable, and influencers are kind of like reality TV. That's how I see it, at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, think about it, right? A creator, like a artiste, creates something valuable. Art, they write, they make movies, they make content. You cannot say Tila Tequila, sorry for Tila Tequila, but she didn't make anything valuable. She just was like, hey, I'm hot, look at me.
Right.
Like Paris Hilton, right? In a way, like kind of like a Paris Hilton. She's back in her day, not right now. She's now a creator. But before that, she was, I guess a TV star. I guess you call it creating, but not really. She just was brain rot kind of entertainment, which was, just, kind of disposable. I want to be like her. I want to live her lifestyle, but she doesn't really give me anything of value. She doesn't make things.
Right.
So,
Well, I would argue that I agree with you. We're just caught up on this word, but I think it's
yeah,
the way that we approach monetizing and building and so forth away from this, ideal and aesthetic and look and all that into value, which you just mentioned, but also to what your book points to is the community element and really a co-creation piece in what we did. I know Web3 kind of hinted at that a little bit. And I think people were just running their mouths because they didn't really know what they were saying. Like, we're going to co-create our community, blah, blah. And really, it was just like this PDF map that just talked about them. And nobody really knew what it meant. But I think that's what creators are hoping for, aiming for. But digital community has been so interesting to think about because conceptually it makes sense of, yes, we need community. Yes, we need to co-create. Yes, we need to make this more about them, us versus me. But in practice, it's been really difficult to find concrete teachings and things that actually teach you how do you build a digital community other than ask questions and respond. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I got a lot out of your book. I really enjoyed it. And I think you had
Oh,
a lot of
thanks.
really good tactical
Means a
takeaways.
lot.
But I would like you to just kind of share with you what you mean about community market fit. And let's go off from that.
Yeah, sure. So I think I've been told, because I've been in the startup and tech space for like 21 years now, and I've always been told product market fit. Got to find product market fit. We got to build. We got to keep changing the product and pivoting and changing however we need to find a community that then fits our product. And I was always like, why are we doing it this way? Why don't we go and find categories that we want to service? What are these people look like for the product we're actually building, and then go and find those communities on the internet. Even back in the day, you could find communities on the internet like talking about certain things. And it's like, why weren't we building products first, building an audience, and then servicing that audience with a product when other people just came up with ideas? Because the way venture capital works is, hey, I've got a community. I'm now going to go build a product. It's not that way, right? You would go to a venture capitalist and you'd say, here's my deck, here's my idea, here's my software that I built. Out now, give me money so I can go find a community and spend money and acquire members to use my product. And I was always like, guys, why don't we just find the community that's already out there that would service from these? I'd have to go in and fix companies a lot of the times and be like, hey, what is your community here? Like, what are you actually targeting? You're not doing a good job with user acquisition. Okay, cool. But why? Who's your product for? And they would never have the answer. They would just be like, whoever wants to use it, as many people as possible. I'm like, yeah, those aren't good enough answers. Like, what do they look like? And I started saying community market fit. I think the first time I ever said that was like 2009. And I was like, yeah, product market fit is garbage. You can't just go build a product and hope people will use it.
Right.
You have to co-create products with communities, and you have to go be a member of a community, and you actually have to use the product you're building. It's like the biggest fault. If you talk to almost every founder or just large tech company that got funding, 90% of the people don't even use the product they're building. Wow. That's messed up, isn't it? Like, think about this. You're building a product and you're not even using it. So how do you know what the pains and the problems are as these people, product managers are building things and they have no insight as a user because they aren't talking to the
Yeah.
consumers usually. And when they do, it's very sterile. And when you do things in a sterile way, you get sterile answers. Like no one wants to disappoint you, right? You know, especially if you're like an end user and you're talking to someone at a company that they feel so important, right? In a way, you're like, oh wow, I'm important. I'm giving
Yeah.
feedback here. The thing is, like, when you do that, you're not co-creating. You're asking questions in a very like systemized, sterile way, and you don't get answers. So the real idea is, hey, I have a problem. Let me post. This is how you build a community. Is like, oh my god, I have a problem right now. It's really irking me, and it's like, man, I wonder if anybody else has this problem. And then you go and search for whatever that problem is you're trying to solve, and you say, hey, is there a community out there already talking about this? And if so, let me join it. Don't just start, oh, there's a community talking about this. That means product validation. No,
Yeah.
that just
Yeah.
means people are talking about it.
Yeah.
Just go to the community, join it, add value to that already built community, start talking to them and like start sharing your ideas and see if people will or do on a one-to-one basis have the same problem as you. And on top of it, how much of a problem is it? Would they really pay for it or would they just say they would pay for it? That's another thing. A lot of problems with creators in general. And that means companies too, by the way.
Yeah.
Companies are creators. They build things and then they wonder, they're like, oh yeah, all these people said they are going to buy the product as soon as it's ready and live.
Right. Right.
And then as soon as they launch it,
Right.
crickets. And I mean hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, hundreds of thousands on Twitter. And as soon as they release something that everybody just goes silent. Oh, what happened? You said all you guys would buy it. No one buys it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they don't really have an audience. They don't really have a community because they just said, hey, we're going to build this thing. We're not going to include you in it. We're just going to build it. And maybe you'll pay us.
Yeah.
Like that's just not a good business model. Right.
Yeah.
So.
I like how Seth Godin kind of defines community in his book Tribes. I mean, he has a lot of different pieces there, but one of the things that he points to is that a real tribe can communicate with one another without the leader present. And so it's not one-to-many dialogue. It's this cyclical process of where you and I can talk to each other without the head honcho there. And that's like where community can, or, what he says, tribe can really take off. In your perception, what really makes a community? What are some of the things that define that versus an audience? Because I might have people commenting, like right now, people will comment on my posts and stuff like that.
Sure.
I don't consider my Instagram following a community
It is
by itself. By itself, I don't. I really don't. I think that, Substack or, maybe there's a philosophical community in my DMs, but they can't really, it's not like a group of people who know each other. And that's that's how I kind of think of it. But I'm curious your thoughts.
So the three things, as far as I'm concerned, three things that you need to make a real community, let's just say in real life or on the internet is that common artifact, like that one thing, kind of like
Chapter 1.
Yeah, chapter 1. Thank you. The Bible is a great example of a common artifact. And then it's all about having rules and then rituals. Like those three things are 100% of a community, right? So if you create rules people can follow when you're not around, they have this common artifact, whether it's your community or it's a book or it's some type of product, or it's also like who you see yourself as, right? I am a runner. Right? Yeah. Let's just say I'm a runner and I can think like another runner. I feel the same way as other runners do, right? I want to go join a running club. I don't run, by the way, but I'm just saying, like, if I was a runner, I would want to go and like talk about running, do these things because I see myself. That's my persona is as a runner or someone that does weightlifting. I'm an athlete, right? I can just consider myself, I'm an athlete, right? I would want to go and talk with other athletes or share stuff with other athletes or find the people who are doing the kind of exercise or whatever I'm doing, like basketball or soccer or tennis. I want to go find those people. And then I will identify with those people so easily, right? And another way of thinking about it too is like you go into I have a couple of analogies in the book, but one of them is you go into a sports stadium and you're wearing, let's just say you're going to see the Eagles and you're wearing your Eagles uniform and your face is all painted up and stuff like that. And then you walk into the wrong side of the stadium and they all turn around and look at you and you're an Eagles fan on the wrong side. They instantly think you're not part of their group, right? Because you're just identified as the other people. You walk around, get back onto the Eagle side. Everybody welcomes you like they are your best friend. They've known you for years. They just welcome you in. They trust you because you are showing all the right signs, right? You followed the rules. You follow the rituals. You know the common artifact is your jersey, right? You know, all these things like that show, you can show this on the internet. You can show this offline too, obviously with the Bible or any other kind of religion. So yeah.
No, I loved that analogy in the book. It reminds me of my friend Glenn Lundy. He's been on the show before, but he's built a really strong community, and I've never thought about it that way. But he has the artifact, which is his morning five. He has the ritual of getting up at 5:30 in the morning and all getting online together, and then what's the other one? The third one, forgive me.
Rules.
The rules. He has set rules of what the morning five is, and he even has an app where you track it, and his community's flourished from that. And so that makes a lot of sense. I'm curious about the ritual element if you are not necessarily teaching anything, like you don't consider yourself to be a guru, like here are the 3 steps to, sell your NFT or whatever. I don't know. So how do you guide just like creators who, somebody like producer Patrick, I'm sure you've seen him,
I don't know. I don't know names very well, but
he's so great. I'm trying to get him on the show, but he pretty much teaches and shares what's going on in the film industry right now with AI and so forth. And so he's kind of like a reporter journalist, also a little bit of a thought leader where he gives his thoughts on it. He's doing really well. But somebody like him who's reporting on an industry or like my friend Cindy, who is really making a stand against kind of the rapid content produce, and she's teaching slow content, So how would you advise people like that to create ritual?
I mean, so the rules go, let me just break them all down real quick. So basically, obviously you already know what the shared artifact is, and it could be a person, by the way, right? The artifact is a person. Sometimes you're following somebody on the internet. That's your shared artifact in a way. And then they have their rules are, hey, when they post, like what are their points of view, stuff like that. Pretty easy to understand that one. But the rituals are usually it's like we do a live on Sunday, you know what I mean? Like those are the rituals kind of thing. You know what I mean? The rules are, hey, be nice to everybody, all this other stuff. But in this case, it's the rituals are the how you interact with them, how they interact with you, and and in consistency, right? It's all about the ritual is all consistency where like a good example, again, I always go back to the Bible because the ritual there is you're praying, you're going to church on Sundays. You know what I mean? Like there's you go see your priest for confession. I don't know whatever religion, if all religions do that or not. So I grew up with that kind of ritual and I realized I'm like, wow, that's super powerful. Like that's the kind of stuff that a lot of society has like lost right now because hardly anybody goes to church anymore. Hardly anybody, a lot of people don't really believe in that stuff anymore. So it's like, how can we leverage that stuff, right? That's been around for thousands of years.
That
right?
works.
Yeah, it works. I mean, it works every time.
Yeah.
So why not leverage the 3 tools to like make it successful? I think that's
one thing I wanted to really dig in with you about, and I can't believe we're already halfway done with this, of like not even to the main point of what I wanted to talk to you about, which was this idea of creating belonging. Which that sounds cute and sexy. Like, yeah, community is about belonging and yada, yada. But thinking about it in a digital space, and I'm glad you covered about how to like scale a brand without losing intimacy, because that's a very interesting point. Like if I have an in-person event, using the church metaphor, I used to be a door greeter. You know what I mean? Can you imagine getting greeted at the door with me? I'm like, hey, y'all, welcome to church.
Yeah, great.
But like that assigning people to eyeball contact, if you're Southern, we'd be hugging you and all that stuff. It's Glenn's, says people's names, on the
Sure.
lives, like, but when you start scaling it, it gets really interesting how to create a sense of belonging. And I wanted to go to that part in your book where you were talking about, hold on,
Sure.
my remarkable, just went to page 63. You were telling this story about Yeti
Yep.
and how they created a sense of belonging there. So I'll kind of set up context and then kick it over to you. But you said what separates great brands from forgettable ones, they don't just sell products, they sell belonging. And you used Yeti as an example. Here, I won't speak for you. Explain like what Yeti did specifically and like what we can learn as creators in regards to that.
So Yeti, if you think about it, like Yeti actually did exactly what we were talking about just earlier, is they co-created with people, right? They built something they needed themselves, and then they actually took advice from basically a community they decided to build after they basically built a cooler, right? So that's how you actually when you co-create with people, you build like that. You build rapidly and a community like that. So I mean, that's just the way I take it, at least.
You
So,
also talked about them using their community in their ads
yeah.
and the documentary film pieces that they created. And I thought that was an interesting point too, as a leader. Like, how do you add in the faces and the voices? I think where we maybe get lost with that is, a lot of people listen to the show, and myself included, we are communicators and we want to speak and we want to write books and we want to be the face of our brand because I don't know, maybe our mamas didn't hug us or something, but like we're created to be on camera and to do what we do. And so there's an element of like that know, like, and trust element where, my community needs to see my face and hear my voice, but then translating that, like, how do you make it too about the community and bring in their faces and their voices is a really interesting thing to kind of figure out. I know every brand's different and everybody's goals are different, but what have you, I guess, learned about kind of the balance of that when you're wanting to establish your authority in your brand and maybe being the face of the brand, but still bring the community into it?
Well, it's the oldest thing in the world called social proof, right? So when you bring your community in to speak for you, it's way more powerful for someone to speak for you than the CEO of a brand. Like if you have like 20 people or even 5 people going, wow, I love this product. What an amazing thing. It's been so successful for me. Look at this thing, how great it is. That is more powerful than the CEO going, hey, like you can have the product for free. Social proof is everything. And when you can include your audience or the people who are buying it or part of your community inside doing like even UGC content type of stuff,
Yeah.
which is what we did at Sony Pictures, by the way. Like there were creators on YouTube that I would go, hey, we need to include these guys in our movies and original TV shows because they have an audience already. That's a community and they will like what these guys actually bring them. So if they're starring in our shows, we now build a community around that show from their audience. So in theory, it's the same. It's a very similar thing. You got all these people. In a way, when you go and star in a show, it's like social proof for them, right?
Yeah.
That guy, that person, that guy or that girl's audience. They go, oh, if this person's in it, it must be good. Or if this
Yeah.
person's in it, I'm going to watch because they're in it, they're vouching for it, right? So it's social proof. And so is like the Yeti example, or so is like any kind of like product where the company is smart enough to use its users, like inside the ads, inside the promotion, inside again, social proof is critical. Like it's kind of like what you have. I mean, you have it on your website. You have some social proof, like all these, comments and stuff of social
My
proof.
hater comments.
I love some of your comments on there some of your comments on your website were like, hey, this person, take it from these people who are.
No, did you see my untestimonials page?
Oh yeah, I saw they were called untestimonials, but I didn't. Yeah.
It's all
Are
the
they saying
things
not to use
people
you?
commented. Yeah, it was
Because she's your
my
unfair
hate
advantage?
comments. It was my hate comments or people saying that what I did wrong. So I published that instead of having a testimonial page
You're
because I thought it was great.
hilarious. You are hilarious. I like that. So most people have testimonials, which is the social proof that again, it's been proven like for like probably 100 years of media now that when you vouch for something, people will just buy it, right? Like regular people will just buy, oh, well, these three people say it's good, we're going to buy it, right? And that's why advertisements work. Your favorite celebrity going, hey, I use it too. It gives me pep in my step, like in radio ads back in like the 30s and 40s. People went to the store and bought because of a radio ad, and they didn't even see the effing product, right? That's crazy, right?
Right.
So social proof, where people are vouching and promoting a brand, and it's your favorite celebrity, social proof. It's if it's just a user off the internet saying, "Oh my God, I grew my audience from 5,000 to 10,000. This is amazing. Whatever this person did for me," people will buy from that because that's evidence that it works, and that's what Yeti does, and that's what every product on the planet would be smart, and most of them do. But if you're not using social proof, you'll see like a 30 to 50% uptick in like sales if you actually use social proof.
How do you use social proof though without it being these lame ass testimonial videos that everybody uses? Like Heather was so great. I love Heather. And then because I see people posting that stuff on social, and I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a good way or a better way to do that, to have social proof, but also to not sound like a commercial. Like
Yeah,
include the
I agree.
community, give social proof, validate, show people, but also too, if I'm Janet scrolling and I don't know who Lucas Bean is and I don't care and I don't know who Heather is, I don't care what your community is saying and talking about. I'm thinking
True.
about me and what
Yeah.
I want. And so it's like validating the brand, yes, but also too, the person on the outside doesn't give a crap about what's going on inside of our community.
Yeah, I get you. So you're solving a problem for people. That's the reason why people want to use your product, whatever it is, product or service, right? So if you're able to solve a product and get that solve in front of people, regardless of who you are, and they are like, whoa, this person knows what they're talking about, right? And then they go and they take a step forward and keep buying. If you can give them a funnel of social proof, but also like right? First, you have to sell them on your service or product. Then you have to put them down this funnel of like, okay, get them to the next step, which is like, give me your email address, right? Or phone number. And then eventually get them to buy. They might actually go through a full funnel and right there and just go, I'm buying, this is the new year, which is a great time to sell any kind of product or service because everybody's doing their New Year's resolutions. That's going to be like healthy or change. They want change in January. So this is your chance to do it. I think that's some of the most valuable stuff is like to make sure that people can actually go down some type of, I think of the world in funnels. So people have to go down some funnel so that you can actually get them to do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
So
One day we're going to have to wrestle with that because, and I don't want us to get off topic, but I was just in a
yeah, sorry,
office.
I might be going off topic a little bit too. So
No, I could start talking about a funnel. Like you would have a good old time. Let's talk about some funnels, but just, how user behavior is different now. We're just really like one click buy, and it's not that normal funnel process that we're used to. The landscape's changing so much interesting, but we're talking about communities. Listen. I wanted to ask you, I heard you in another interview. You said, quote, this is you, I am the king of shortcuts and hacks.
oh yeah, it's true.
And I
Though.
just wrote that down because I was like, that's an interesting comment. And when you were sharing earlier about kind of the way people normally approach community, which is, oh my goodness, I created this amazing thing. Now let me go buy or go build a community. A lot of people listening are already in that position. So it's philosophically, yes, maybe we understand we should have built a community first, but now we have this book, now we have whatever, and we do need to build a community around it. I'm curious, kind of reverse engineering, where some people might be and they can't necessarily scratch their product, nor do they want to. Since you're the shortcut and hack guy, I know you can't shortcut and hack a community.
You kind of can.
Okay, well, tell me,
You kind of can.
Lucas Bean.
So let me give you an example using NFTs.
Oh
Even though
God,
I hate
like half the
NFTs
audience
right
just
now.
left this now.
Well, all right, I'll give you a different example then. But you can hack together just about you could hack a community together so fast. And it depends on what you're doing. If let's say it depends on what it is, right? Give me an idea for a product, and I'll tell you exactly how to hack the product.
Oh,
I'm a user growth guy. So like
how about a mini course that supports pregnant women who are in pain?
that's unique. That might be a little too niche. You know what you should start with? So right away,
I just
like
gave you like a
instantly,
straight up valid community, dude.
yeah, you can. So by the way, you could do this. You just have to think bigger than that, right? So
Okay.
you're thinking, oh, pregnant people, just pregnant people who are in pain. No, just start thinking about women, right?
Okay.
So, and then the funnel goes down to pregnant women or women trying to get pregnant or whatever it is. And that's your category, right? So it's women who are either pregnant or trying to get pregnant in that area. Because
Okay.
if they're pregnant already, there's a percentage of these people that are going to be in pain, right?
Hmm.
So what you want is to capture this group of people, not this little niche group of people at
So go
first.
one step above your target
Yeah.
audience.
Go
Okay.
for the big audience, right?
Okay.
So go when I think of like a very, very niche audience, I always think of like, yeah, if I try to reach just these people, tiny little group of people, you're not going to get there. Go for the group of people that's just above that layer, right? So you, like you said, let me give you an example.
That's fascinating
Yeah,
because
anybody that tells you
search,
different, that's just, it's
but
stupid
that's
to
what
go off
everybody
the
teaches
niche.
you to do is go as
Yeah.
niche as possible so you can be found in search.
I mean, you can be found in search still, but if you think about it, there's a giant pool of women when you say want to get pregnant or are pregnant, right? And it's cyclical because they'll go through pregnancy and then they'll have a kid and then there'll be more girls
Right, right,
into
right.
that and it just keeps going, right?
Hmm.
So that community of yours can, building off of like pregnant and who are in pain. The thing is like you shouldn't just focus on pregnant and in pain. You should focus on pregnant and their problems, right? Not
Hmm.
just pain. Because while you're focusing on just the pregnant and in pain people, you're missing out on all the other problems in pregnancy, right?
Hmm.
So you might be able to like pivot or create a new product as well that might be able to service these women in like 5 or 10 different ways. You can create multiple funnels, multiple offers, and
So
then find which one works best.
let me give you another example. My community on Instagram primarily is deconstructed religious folks who are now like creatives and in the creative space. That is a pretty niche ass community. Like folks who know who Petra is and DC Talk, and now they're creating or
Hmm.
artists.
That is unique. That is unique.
Yeah.
But you could go after is people who are recovering religious people at first.
And not just the creative people.
Correct. Because guess what? If you think about it, really think about it, everybody's creative, right? Everybody's got creative at the top of like doesn't matter who they are. My brother's very not creative if you really had to look at what he does for work and stuff. But then you look at what he does on a daily basis, solving problems with like wood and all these other things
Right,
like at his
right.
house. He builds his own stuff. It's like, dude,
That's
you're
creative.
super creative, right?
Right,
That's crazy.
right.
So theoretically, you're just looking for the people who are either on the border of becoming, hey, this is religious stuff, right? I don't want to deal with this
Hmm.
religious stuff. And like that's your layer I would be looking at. And then the creative funnel, because some people are aspiring to be creative, right? So you don't leave those people out. You're missing out on this giant community that might actually exist just below the surface of your other niche that was like you funneled them out kind of a thing.
So if somebody's listening who's like me and has kind of like a dual audience or this with that, I'm reading have you read Dark Horse?
I have not.
It's a really good book, but he talks about micro motives and how like the different pieces that we're motivated by come together like in a cohesive brand. So with me, like religious trauma, creators, blah blah blah, all those pieces tying together to create your unique voice. And so what you're saying is you're going to pick one of those elements that's a part of your brand and you're going to widen that and start seeking to build a community of those people. And my follow-up question to that is how do you know which one? Because you just pulled out the religious one after what I shared with you, not the creative element. And I'm curious if that was just an instinct with you, or is there a reason why you didn't? Because creatives are a bigger umbrella, I think, than the religious trauma. So why did you tell me or suggest with me the religious trauma over creative?
I think there's way more people in the funnel. My brain just clicked to it. Some of these things are literally muscle memory at this point because people
Yeah.
have told me throughout my career, oh, how do we get more people? We don't know. You're never going to be able to do it. And every single time I've been able to like grow their audiences by like hundreds of thousands, if not millions. And it's always because they're looking for exactly what you just said. I want this person who does this, that does this, that does this, that then that
That's what we've been
also
told to
does this.
do.
I know, I know, I know. The thing is, like, it's not completely wrong. It's just that if you want to do it in a smart way, you either have to pay sorry, I won't swear, but you either have to pay. I have to say it. Sorry, you have to pay a shitload of money if you want to like play in the same water as like trying to acquire a user that caught, like these users, when you identify them, like super niche users, you have to pay a lot of money to acquire them. Why would you pay a lot of money to acquire that super niche user when you can acquire the group that's just above it and then slowly filter them out and possibly even create multiple product SKUs, right? So you're not just a religious person who used to be religious that now is a creative. You're going after like, oh, these are all these like people that used to be religious, but hey, I found out in this used to be a religious community, there's like a whole bunch of other issues I could solve in this community. So it's like, this one is, great. I thought this was my avenue. And by the way, this goes back to product market fit, building a community. And then with your community, you can find product market fit, right? That's what's cool about it. You already have a community of non-religious people, which is way bigger than creative people who are non-religious, I would think, right? Because it's which filter makes the most sense to you. It's not just creative people. That's way too explosively big, right? But non-religious who used to be religious people, like those people are self-identifying, like me. I'm a recovering Catholic, right? At the end of the day, like I was hyper religious. I can relate to that. No way am I going to be religious ever again. But man, that was
join my community.
That was great. I'm going to. So that was but do you see what I'm saying? Like that I can relate to. I'm also probably creative, right? But I don't see myself as a crazy as it may sound. I don't see myself as a creative. Even though I probably am.
You just said everybody's creative.
I know, but I don't see my identity's not tied to being a creative, right? Yeah. But it is partially tied to, I used to be wicked religious. That's just true. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I didn't have a choice of the religion when I was a kid, right? Until I became like 15 or 16 years old. Then I got to choose. But I remember all of the days. I went to church every day in my school and then every Sunday too. So I was like, no more, dude. Like,
let's lean into that 15, 16-year-old real quick, because there's another part I wanted to bring up here. And this will tie back into communities, folks. But I got to go deep real quick because I had a co-host once. Great experience, but he used to get so mad at me because he said always derail the conversation and go too deep with stuff. And I'm like, why would we not? He's like, Heather, you're not a therapist. I'm like, yes, I am. One of your favorite quotes, you mentioned it at the beginning of the book, and you also put it at the end of the acknowledgments, is this idea of showing up where you don't belong, because one day that you will. I love that you actually, this is beautiful. I think you thanking yourself in the acknowledgments. I thought that was so cool. I've never remember reading an author who's done that. I'm in therapy right now, and my therapist is really working with me on like acknowledgement and not being hard on yourself and all that shit. So kudos to you. But you said, and finally to myself, thank you for never giving up. Show up where you don't belong, because one day you will. So let's zoom out of the details of community building and just from a philosophical viewpoint of looking at belonging, which I mentioned earlier. I was curious with you, the little bit I know about you, which isn't much, but I think I was kind of shocked to learn that you didn't feel like you belonged when you went into the business space. I know you wanted to be a pilot at the beginning, and that wasn't necessarily your career path is where you're at now, but it was just shocking to me because you come across as a pretty confident dude, settled in his skin, knows who you are. Tell me a little bit about what that quote means to you and kind of where you first started wrestling with this idea of belonging.
Oh my God. I could go on for hours about this. I haven't felt like I belonged ever anywhere. And like, I am confident in my ability, but I am not confident in like showing up where I don't belong. That's the reason why it's my mantra. I live by it now, because every opportunity and successful thing that's happened in my life, and there's been a lot of unsuccessful things too, way more than successful things. And it's shown up. I showed up where I absolutely felt like I didn't belong. because it's an internal thing, right? I also didn't belong there probably physically too,
Yeah.
but I didn't feel emotionally like I belonged there, but I did it anyway. I have a video. It's funny. I actually have a video. It's funny that you just brought that up because I literally was talking to someone yesterday about this. There's this girl I know who's like going through a really hard time, and I'm like, hey, I'm trying to like mentor her through this whole like process of like job transition, stuff like that, just as a friend. Because I'm like, yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it. But the thing is, like, I told her about this video, and it's true. I have a video. I was going to speak on stage in February of 2022. And this was like, I think I spoke on stage like 8 or 10 times that year. And I was dressed. I was ready to go. I was leaving the hotel to go to this place to speak. And I was like, my brain was like trying to find 1,000 excuses not to go. It's just like, don't go. It's not worth it. Rent a couple movies on the hotel TV.
Why? What was it about this one? If you've done it before, what was it about this?
There was nothing I could put my finger on that was why. It was just my brain going, don't go. It's like unsafe. But then I turn my phone to myself and I go, and I turn on the recording. I have the recording on my phone right here. I played it back even just the other day because I'm like, anytime I get stressed out, I promise myself, anytime I ever think I'm not going to go, I don't want to go and do something. It's easier just to stay at home. It's easier just to not do something, right? Not go take this action, not go do this. I pull up this video and this video goes, hey, I really don't want to go. I hate the idea of leaving this hotel room right now. It's like almost painful to me, but I'm going anyway. And I think I said, fuck it. I'm out of here. See you later. And then I remember getting to the place where I was going to speak and it was awesome, right? I mean, from the moment I walked in, it was just awesome. I had the best day. I then had another great day after that, going back to the same event, speaking on 2 other panels. And I looked back at this video and I recorded another video going the same day, by the way. It was like the morning one and the night one. And I go, hey, what were you thinking? That was a great time. And you do belong there because you were probably one of the smartest, if not the smartest person there. Because, I mean, that also says something. Maybe I was in the wrong room, as they say, but I felt very confident leaving and I felt very insecure walking in. And it goes back to the spotlight effect and think about it. I've done business and been in business for a long time. I know if I don't know something, I could pick it up very easily and do all these things. But there's even a part of me that has like that, you don't belong in your head all the time. It's always telling me I don't belong. And it's every day a frictional fight between that and doing something. And I remember someone told me my first job I got in LA, I was at interviews. This is another great one. This is hilarious, actually, in a way. I was at a bunch of different interviews in LA when I first came to LA. I flew out. I pretended like I lived in LA, by the way. I was like, I used an address and I didn't live in LA. But I was like coming on interviews and there was one job I really, really wanted at this company. And I was like, but they didn't give me an interview, right? They didn't ask me to interview. So I went to these interviews and I was going to get these jobs. It was pretty sure I was going to get one of these jobs. And I go, but I really want to work at this company. I'm like, what do I have to lose? I walked in to a pretty big, 100-person tech company, came up the elevator. The people thought I worked there. I didn't. They swiped me in. Oh, I forgot my badge. I did whatever it took to get to the front desk of this tech company. I had a resume in my hand and I walked into this tech company and go, yeah, I'm here looking for a job. And they're like, wait, you just walked in for a job? And I'm like, and I knew one person at the company. I'm like, yeah, can I speak to this guy? He came out. He's like, you just walked in and you didn't have an interview? He said it too. And I'm like, yeah, man, I really want to work here. And I was, of course, there was a little bit of like embarrassment, but at the same time, I was like, fuck it. I'm already here. Like, you just got to own it, right? Like, yeah, I'm here. And from that, both of the people are like, holy shit. It was like 3 different people actually that came out and were like, wait, you just walked in for a job? Like, they were like, what is this? And I got an interview from it and I got the job from it. So the job I actually really wanted, if I didn't do the walk-in, which by the way, this guy tells that story to this day, 20 something years later, of me just walking in And nobody else in his entire life has he ever heard of someone walking into a tech company with a resume going, hey, can I get a,
Yeah.
can I get a job? If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be in LA, right?
Right.
I would still be thinking smallly. If I didn't take that action of like showing up where I definitely didn't belong in that case, that happened throughout my career. There's so many instances of showing up where I felt like, and also, like I said, I truly didn't belong at this company. They were like, what are you doing here? How'd you get in? But it worked, right? So I think it's important to, if you're going to do something and you're nervous to do something, or you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do it. It just sounds like a lot. That's your brain. Just like the War of Art says, that is resistance, right?
Right.
That's you.
Right.
It's basically trying to, it might feel normal to you, but that's your brain fighting to keep you where you are because it's
Yeah.
safe and warm right now. It's only thinking of right now.
Right.
It's not thinking of, will you be better off for this? Your brain is only saying, it's warm and dry right here, right now, and you're good.
Yeah.
It has a very short-term memory and it doesn't care about what happens in 12, 24, 36 months. It only cares about right now. And you have to tell it to go do these things or you're going to be stuck. So
Tell me where you learned how to do that and if you have like a behavioral hack with it, because back to the community
I do.
element. Good. Back to the community
Sorry.
element. There is a lot of resistance people have around building communities. My crowd is opposite of your crowd. Like, we don't think product first. Like, I have a lot of folks who are, previous ministers, previous therapists in the helping spaces. And it's like, sounds holy, but it's not. It's crippling and really detrimental to a lot of these creatives because they don't think about product monetizing first. They think about like, oh, community and service. But then they're like, who am I to build a community? Because I'm just me. And you know what I mean? And who am I to step up front? And who am I to think that I can lead these people, especially if they've never been given that title particularly. So
Sure.
I'm leaning into this idea of dissonance between I don't belong, I shouldn't be doing this, to you just saying, just freaking take action. What are the behavioral things in between that? Because I know there are some. You just said that.
Yeah, there are. There are. And also, like, FYI, I've even felt that way. I've built communities before, and I'm like, if it's for myself, it's so weird how it switches. Who am I to build a community?
Yep.
But if I'm doing it for a company, all bets are off. I'm in,
Right.
right? So it's really easy to do it for somebody else. It's really hard, just like advice. Really hard to follow advice, but it's really hard. It's really easy to give advice, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, I would say, if you're trying to, I just literally just flaked on
The behavioral element of I don't belong, I shouldn't be doing this, I'm scared, oh my God,
Oh
to
yeah, the hack.
it's
I got the hack.
yeah,
You ready? Here it is. Sorry. I used to be a wicked shy person. Here's the hack. This is the thing that saved me from everything. And it is, I came across it. I guess I discovered it with, not co as in another person, but they call it co-discovery. Like, someone discovered,
yeah, yeah.
gravity, and another person goes, hey, I discovered gravity too. I discovered this by accident, but it worked for me. So I was undergrad, and I was looking for a job that actually paid well enough to pay for my college and my apartment and stuff like that. I was on my own. I had to pay for my college, my graduate school, all that stuff by myself. So I had to go, wait, what do I do for work? And waiting tables. I waited tables for 4 years. I was like, this is the best kind of a job because you get cash back then, at least you get cash, and you didn't have to claim. You got cash and you didn't have to claim basically all of your tips back in the day. So I was like, sweet, I'm walking out of being a waiter for like $200 to $400 a night in cash, which was good back in those days. Back in 1973. No, I'm just kidding. So what I did was I accidentally came up with a ritual. I was a wicked shy person. I was the guy that stood on the side of the wall at student dances and stuff. Girls would come up to me and I'd be like, no, I'm good. I don't want to dance because I'm just super shy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, look, I got to snap out of this. My life is on the line. My existence is on the line. So I came up with this little ritual where I would and I knew I had to talk to people and be outgoing. And I was already a nice person already. So I guess that was a positive. I also have an unfair advantage. I have physical traits like being 6'5" and all these other things that made it easier to talk to people, I guess. I didn't see that though. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really notice that about myself. I didn't really care. I didn't really look at it like that. But my little trait, my little discovery was I created this like different version of myself.
Alter ego.
Yeah. And I didn't know I was doing it, but I was like, I
I was
created
going
a
to
little,
ask you.
yeah, I created this like little ritual in the back of the restaurant in the kitchen area where you pick up the food and deliver it. I was just standing there. I'm like, I would take this little shot of coffee. No, it wasn't like a lot of coffee. It was like a tiny amount of coffee, but it was like mixed with like ice. And I did this little ritual and I go, all right, time to, and I would just like do a little tap on the table and just like, and then just pound this coffee and go, all right, Luke, you're on. And I was on stage. Like I gave myself permission to be somebody else.
Yeah.
And over 13 or 14,000 tables I waited in my 4 years of waiting tables. I did the calculation of like 15 tables a night, how many nights I worked, all that stuff. And I was like, oh, wow, it's like 13 or 14,000 tables. My alter ego kind of like merged with me, the insecure, you know, shy guy. And eventually I became a good speaker, right? I was able to talk to people, things like that. And it was like, I didn't say I'm an I worked on that a lot. So I remember my senior year of college and they were like, you are now in like a speech class. You had to take speech. And I was like, oh man, I got to take speech. That sucks. But then I got there and they're like, okay, you guys can all test out of this class right now. If you get a 100 on your entry speech, right?
Yeah.
And they go, you have to say nothing, but you have to do all these like physical things in front of the entire class. It was like 150 people too. So just imagine this. So I'm like standing in front of the 150 people and I'm like, oh, I think I know what to do. You have to do something without saying a word, but everybody has to know what it is. And if you're able to make somebody laugh, like make people laugh also, you test out and everybody, once everybody knows what you do, knows what, you know, what you're basically trying to show. And then if you can make people laugh, you don't have to do this ever again. And so no, there was a couple people that tried, they all failed at it. People didn't know what they were doing. People laughed, but they were just like, we don't have any idea what you were doing. I went up and just played a little bit of like virtually like played tennis and all this other stuff and just showed, I made him laugh and everybody was like, yeah, we know what he did. They're like, yeah, you got it. You're really good at speaking in front of people. I then like gave like this speech in front of people. I had no problem doing it. And yeah, I didn't have to really do anything in speech class after that because I guess I aced it. It's really easy to speak in front of people for me now though. So
I love, I knew it was going to be alter ego. I don't know how I knew.
I didn't even know what that was called, by the way. And I didn't know Beyonce did that too. Someone told me like, oh, Beyonce has like an alter ego. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. If y'all don't know what we're talking about, check out, I forgot what episode number it was, but Todd Herman, he wrote The Alter Ego Effect. He was on the show. I'll link it up here, but it's super powerful behavioral hack. And what you just said, and I think is the main point of it, is that it's not about, you know, people's main objection with alter egos, like it's not authentic. But what you said is you were able to merge, you know, that identity of who you wanted to be, which was somebody who could speak and be charismatic. And eventually you find out that is inside of you. It's just this trick that gets it out. But anyways, I digress. This book, Community Market Fit, is phenomenal. Make sure it's linked up in the show notes. Is there anything else you want to point our listeners to?
Great book. It's on Amazon. Give it a 5-star review, please.
I need to do that. I need to go do that. Very last question. What is something in your life right now? It could be related to what we talked about. It could be something completely different, but what is something that's been on your mind that you have a big question mark around?
The future of people having jobs. I'm very interested in that because I feel like the career tracks are completely destroyed right now because of AI and
Creator
LLMs
tracks
and things
too.
like that.
What do you think?
I don't think that if you own an audience, you'll have no problems. The audience is yours. If you can deplatform your audience onto an email list, better.
Yeah.
If you can get their phone numbers, the best, right?
Yeah.
Phone numbers are the absolute reach. No one changes their phone numbers. No one loses their phone numbers when they lose their jobs. So the email's still, you know what I mean? Like an email you could lose. Phone numbers are the new magic. But what I'm going to say is like the tracks are very broken now. You can't go to college and go, hey, I'm going to be an analyst or you know, a data analyst anymore because that job probably, an entry level job like that doesn't exist.
Right.
academia is being disrupted because of this also, because, okay, now that there's no jobs, you're off ramping us onto like, what do you do now? Right. So the fallback for everybody in this world was, even if you're a creator and you want to just stop being a creator and just have some kind of stability in your life, you go get a job, right? Those jobs don't exist anymore. I think there's going to be 1 or 2 for every 100,000 jobs there are now left in like 3 years. And it's tough to think like, what is the future for this? Because it's like a new economy. How do we exchange money? How do we do all these things? And an entire new economy is going to come out of this, and money might not be the thing that ties it together.
And really, even beyond that, when that is solved, it goes back to just belonging and purpose and meaning and all of the hierarchical needs that we have, and like, how are those fulfilled when we genuinely don't need you?
Right?
What does
crazy.
need mean? Yeah.
It's crazy if you think about it. Like you buy things with money. When you don't have the ability to buy things with money, 91% of your problems go away once you have money. It's just true. Once you have a lot of money, a lot of your problems go away. It's the other 8 to 9% you then have to figure out once you do have the money. Right now, money's being taken away. So that's a tough one that I've not been able to mentally solve. I usually can see around. I've made a successful career, a lot of ideas and stuff like that from seeing around like corners. In this case, I can't see around this corner. Like, I don't know of a job that's being created by AI, because AI can do every job a human being can do or will be able to do it, right? So it's not like we the internet destroyed newspapers and but newspapers aren't being printed anymore as much or something like that, where like one tiny sect of a business has been destroyed. It's that it can do everything that anybody can do,
Including therapy, relationships.
everything. Yeah.
I think
crazy.
maybe you can't see around that corner because there is no other side to it, and we're coming to an end.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we are coming.
There's dark side.
I think there might be I think there's something. I just don't know. I just can't see what it is. And it might be, I try to blame it on my being out of touch and being older and stuff like that, but I don't think it is. Like, I feel like I'm pretty nimble when it comes to stuff like this. And it's like, I don't see when you could put, here's a good example. Like when you're an influencer or creator, whatever you want to call it, you can put that on autopilot right now, right? So you could go to HeyGen and make your digital avatar. You can go to 11 Labs, make your audio for it. It literally looks and sounds like you already. Imagine when Instagram rolls out, scan your face, and then now you can just type in a script. And by the way, the script can be punched in through, Meta AI, and eventually even influencers who are real will be farming it out to AI. And then the people who are not real, which are I think most influencers will be fake in the future because they are less prima donnas, they take less money, all this stuff. It's great. And I think that's the future of like influence and stuff like that. But when you own an audience, again, owning an audience is the most critical thing. You will never have to worry if you have an audience that follows you.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like on Instagram. I mean like via email, via phone number, you make a personal relationship with them. They have a parasocial relationship eventually. It's like,
Damn, what a time to be alive. I love it. It's like terrifying and awesome at the same time.
I like it. I also am like a little, like for me, I am not a huge fan of like complete uncertainty the way that it is now. But I also am like I think I think deeper than a lot of people. I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people, and it just makes me go. I see me seeing around the corner in this case is basically seeing what is going to come, and it's going to be crazy, which is why you see this political craziness that's happening right now. People land grabbing, authoritarianism rising, like all these reasons. It's the only way to keep a population in control when you lose the ability to control them with money, to control them with all these things that they need. You're going to get this and you're going to like it until something breaks that regime of some kind, so.
With that, we're all going to die, people. Enjoy your life.
It's true.
I'm just
no one gets out of this alive.
Thank you for your time today. This is awesome.
Yeah, pleasure's mine.
I love ending on that note.